welcome everybody to today's video. Today I want to talk about 8 tips to make your SSF runs a little bit smoother. All of these also apply to trade, but especially in SSF when you're all on your own, it's like very good to use all the resources there are, and there are a lot of resources that you can easily miss. Small disclaimer, unfortunately I have no gameplay footage to show off some of these tips. Because I have just recently begun doing like YouTube content, and previously I only did streaming. So hopefully I can do an updated version somewhere in the 0.5 patch cycle with also showing some gameplay of these, and then maybe even incorporating a little bit more endgame focused tips as well. All these tips are primarily focused at a campaign and having like a good campaign into endgame transition. There's lots more things that you can do during endgame, but those are like some more advanced tips, and especially for some of you, if you might try SSF the first time, maybe just going through the campaign already turns out to be a big hurdle, and yeah, with a lot of these you can just make this a lot smoother. So let's start with the first one. The first tip is basically do all the side quests and activities. Most of them have good guaranteed rewards, either from boss drops, chests, like corpses, interactable objectives, and then also like quest rewards. Just as an example, the Devourer in the Mud Burrows in Act 1, it always drops a level 2 skill gem, and the quest reward in town gives a level 1 support gems. Especially the uncut support gems are very good early, and if you do all of the uncut support gem guaranteed rewards during the story, like even during the first act, you can get like a handful of support gems, so you're not reliant on like random drops. The next point ties into this as well, where a lot of these guaranteed and scripted rewards, they really help you better gear yourself towards the upcoming challenges. So for example, the Freythorn quest with Finn gives you a selection of 1 or 3 charms, which with all of the 3 elemental resistance, so like 1 cold, 1 lightning, 1 fire. And the Salvaging Bench quest gives you a guaranteed lesser rune for resistance. So basically any of these like choice quests that give you like choices, you can like actively decide to do what you need the most right now, or what the upcoming challenges do. For example, in this case you can prepare yourself for the Act 1 boss fights, which have a lot of like cold damage. So if you choose the cold charm and the cold resistance rune, you have a guaranteed like cold resistance minimum already, regardless of what gear you find, and that helps very much with the boss fight. Here is a list of all the guaranteed rewards and quest rewards during Act 1 that are optional and can be skipped or missed. There are a lot more, so this is not exhaustive, but these are all the ones that are basically skippable, and a lot of the other rewards are tied to like the main story, or you can't skip them anyway, so I didn't list them here. Towards the end of this video we will do like a rapid fire section with like all the acts with all of these rewards. I really think these are like the biggest thing for the whole SSF thing. When you utilize all of these, you can make your run so much better and smoother, even in like the worst case scenario where like your gear is like really bad. Just with these you can like carry most of your runs already. So going on with the what I talked about earlier, the quest for Renly's workshop, where you in the Ogam village, when you find the workshop, you get a guaranteed artificer's orb from the chest, and then when you bring back the quest item to Renly into the town, he gives you the choice of 1 of 3 runes with the resistances, and then you unlock the Salvaging Bench. This basically is the bench where you can salvage quality and socket gear to then get currency for quality and sockets. So if you salvage a gear piece with a socket, you get artificer shards. 10 of these are an artificer orb. And when you salvage quality weapon or armor, you get the respective quality currency. So what is important here now, you should start collecting socket and quality gear even before this point. Usually if you collect all of the socket and quality gear to this point, you can easily get like one artificer orb and maybe like one whetstone and one armorer's scrap already. So usually it depends a little bit. Sometimes I got more, sometimes I get less. But basically just a guaranteed artificer orb from the quest, and then potentially from all the stuff you collected further is potentially a second artificer orb, which really does help. On that note as well, with the Freythorn quest and the charm, if you happen to have not found a belt yet to equip the charm, you can simply gamble in town. Basically Finn, the quest giver that also gives you the charm, is also the gambler in Act 1, and then you can just gamble like any belt. It doesn't really matter what stats are on the belt, just having a belt unlocks the first charm slot. Alright, move on to the next tip, number 3. Don't focus too much on specific armor base types, even though you have a plan in mind with your build for later stages of the game. Explicit modifiers carry items much more than implicits and base types, especially early on when your character isn't that focused yet. Like if you don't have like any passive tree or any like spirit gems, you need like evasion, armor, whatever. Basically like a good rare item, even though it's like off build for you, will carry you much more than a magic thing that is on theme for your build. For example, if you're playing like a warrior and you plan on like pure armor, but you find like a pure energy shield helmet, a rare with like 2 resistances and maybe even like an energy shield prefix, that will very likely still be better than an armor helmet. So what I mean by this, at the very start of the game, when like attributes requirements are not that tight yet, and you can like pretty much like be like a little bit more lenient with the equipment you can use, especially like during the first act, you should definitely loot rare items of any type and identify them, like especially like armor types, like weapons you usually can't swap because you can't swap like your skills. But especially for armors, if you drop a rare armors, you should like definitely like loot them and at least identify them. If they're still bad, just whatever. But for example, like during the first few levels, if you just invest like 1 or 2 passive points into intelligence or dex, even though like you're doing a pure strength build, you can still equip like all of the like hybrid and pure intelligence or dex base types. This definitely gets like harder and harder as you progress, like in Act 2, 3, 4. You would still need like a little bit more investment, but even then it's still sometimes good to still at least do the hybrid ones. For example, like when we stick with the example of you having a pure strength build, the strength dex and strength intelligence base types, they do require like a little bit of the other attribute. But you should still at least identify rares. Alright, move on to number 4. Use your currency. Exalted orbs, essences, regal orbs. For the majority of the campaign, like 2 good stats on an item will be enough to invest currency into it and push it further. So like if a magic item has 2 stats already that are good, definitely use essence and regal orbs on it. If it's a 1 affix magic item and it has 1 good stat, just use an Orc of Augmentation on it. If the result is even better than before, just further go Essence Regal Orb. If you reach new area level thresholds for newer and higher base types, you will also drop normal items that you want to use Orbs of Transmutation on. Like for example, if you just found like the next best weapon base type, if you're like a martial build, just use Orbs of Transmutation on these. This also ties into number 5. In the Red Veil zone, there's a lot of these refined armed chests. They always drop a normal martial weapon of any type. So basically, if you open all of the ones you come across, there's a very good chance that you will drop a martial weapon of the type you want to use. If you're a spellcaster, you don't really need to pay attention to these and can ignore these for the most part. Next one, number 6, check vendors regularly. They restock every time your character levels up. You don't have to visit them every single level up, but you should check them pretty frequently, and then especially if you are like in town anyway, just check them. And if you feel like it's getting a lot harder because you have a lot of base types or like items that are like running to be like very low level and you haven't found any upgrades, just visit the vendor. Boots with movement speed, martial weapons with already like one good prefix, just general resistance armor. Like there's just so much stuff you can check for. And then keep in mind, you're not searching for like 6 stat items that are incredibly good. You want a magic item with like 1 or 2 good stats, or just a rare item with like 2 or 3 stats, and that will be all you need. And sometimes even like the vendor has normal items. You can just buy these. If you have some Orbs of Augmentation or Orbs of Transmutation, you can just use them on the weapons or armors you buy from the vendor. Right. Number 7, at the end of each act, before the act boss, or maybe even before a boss that you always had a lot of troubles with, just go to the town and check the gambler. Basically, every slot you feel like you haven't got an upgrade in a long time, you can just gamble a couple of items. Gambler items are usually pretty good, and you get 1 gamble attempt for every unique monster you kill in that act. So usually while doing the act you accumulate quite a few of gambles. So if you didn't gamble at all, by the end of the act you usually have like 10-20 gambles. And that should be like enough to at least fill like very bad holes in your build. For number 8, the Reforging Bench. In Act 3, in the Molten Vault, there's a boss. When you kill it, you unlock the Reforging Bench in your hideout and in town. What the Reforging Bench does is you can turn 3 times the same item of the same rarity into another item of the same type of the same rarity. So for example, 3 magic two-handed maces of the same subtype get turned into a random magic of that type, and same for rare. So for example, for like especially like martial weapon builds, you can collect all magic and rare items that have like a good base type, like a high level, like maybe like the highest and second highest base type of each type that you just drop, and just collect them, put them in the stash, and every time when you feel like your weapon is kind of getting like a little bit bad because maybe you haven't found like you're still using like a older base type with like good rolls, but it's still like getting outdated, you can then use the Reforging Bench, and basically every magic and rare that you identify, if it's not good enough to put currency into it, just put it aside, and then once you have 3, just gamble. And that's a little bit more of like a late game tip for like the very end, when the time you use weapons gets a little bit longer. And then once you go into mapping, this is actually like a really good tip for mapping. In the campaign, sometimes you have like very bad luck and don't get any like duplicates of certain items, but it's still a very powerful tool. Now let's go to the rapid fire section that I talked about for the like guaranteed and scripted rewards. Important, this is not an exhaustive list. I did remove all of the guaranteed rewards from like the main story and like the bosses you have to defeat anyway. And I will not talk about every single one of here. I just marked some of the most important ones where I personally think they are either the best rewards and the ones that people often skip. Because again, we're playing SSF. And it's not about going through the campaign the fastest possible. Like sometimes if you can't find these things in these zones, just explore the zone. You kill more mobs, you will over level a little bit. That alone will make your life a little bit easier. Just like 1 or 2 extra level ups, just a couple more passive points that can already help. And then the rewards themselves will give you a good boost as well. So yeah, here's the list for Act 1. I personally think the most important ones are marked with the exclamation mark. Mudborrow, the Devourer. It itself drops the level 2 gem, but most importantly the quest gives a support gem. That's most likely the first support gem you will get. In the Cemetery of the Eternals, there is at the edge of the map, there's a sarcophagus that gives a normal rarity ring. If you are like a martial build, an iron ring, it's just so good for some extra flat fist damage. In the hunting grounds, there's a Dryad ritual. There's like three dudes in a circle, and then when you kill them, you get another support gem. This is very likely your next guarantee. Like there is a couple support gems from like quests that you get. But you will not be filled out with support gems yet. So like depending on your build, if you use like 2 or 3 skills actively, just filling all these support slots is just very, very valuable. And then same in the Manor Ramparts, there is like a gallows that you can click, and then there's like a corpse, and then it falls down, and then you get a support gem. So that's the most important ones in Act 1 in my opinion, but like all these other ones are still like really good. So like you can like pause the video and look at these. There's also great online resources for all of these. Most of these list like all of the rewards, and then again like a lot of the rewards are guaranteed, but a lot of the side zones and side quests are basically not guaranteed. If you skip them and you don't know about them, you can like easily skip them. For Act 2, I think the most important ones is Buried Shrine. In the Buried Shrine, there is like at the edge of the zone, there's like a room with no enemies and 3 offerings. Those are like some like little urns basically, and you can click one of them. And there's a fire, a water, and I think a lightning, and then it gives like fire resistance ring, lightning resistance ring, and cold resistance ring. And then basically it depends a little bit on your build, but most of the time you want probably the lightning resistance ring because the Act 2 boss deals lightning damage. But like if you already have maybe a lightning resistance ring, you can obviously take a different one as well. In the Mastodon Badlands, at the edge of the zone as well, there's like a little yellow fossilized pillar. You click that, that gives you like another uncut support gem. By this point, you should have like 2 support gems for like your two main skills already. But like maybe you play like a very combo heavy build with like a single target and AoE skill, and you still don't have all your support gems. Act 3. This I think is probably the most important thing. In the zone, when you directly go into Act 3, there's like 2 things already. There is a tree that gives you another random magic ring. If you are lucky, this is actually like another resistance ring, but this is not guaranteed. And then there is a camp with 2 rares that is always very close to the entrance to the next town. And that gives you a guaranteed lesser jeweler orbs. 99% of the time this will be the first lesser jeweler orbs you get, because like the enemies in that zone I think technically could drop one already, but like this is a guaranteed jeweler's orb. In the jungle ruins, also at the edge of the zone, you see a theme here. A lot of these rewards are not directly towards the next zone, but like they are like a little bit off the beaten path. You get a guaranteed rare belt. By this point, I think almost all of the time I never have a rare belt unless I crafted it myself. And belts can just have attributes, resistances, life, mana. It's just like a really good early game item. Act 4, Isle of Kin. there is basically like a big, there are all these like wooden cages basically, and one of the big wooden cages, if you click the door, there's like a rare coming out, and that gives a skill gem and a uncut support gem. That's just really good. Now another very, very good one. Jewelry is just so rare, and like gambling jewelry is super expensive. It just doesn't drop in a like good quantity, so any like guaranteed jewelry is just really, really good. In the volcanic variants, that's like this cave you go in. At the side, there is like a nest with 2 of these stone bosses. They are like basically like the bosses from the Trial of Sekimar. These like stone dudes. And there's a fire one and a lightning one. And the one you kill last drops a resistance ring from itself. I think it's also a rare ring. I can't remember. But basically, if you kill the fire one, and then the lightning one, you get a topaz ring with lightning resistance. If you kill the lightning one and then the fire one, you get a ruby ring. So that's very, very, very good. Singing Caverns, there is basically in this zone, there is a shell, like a seashell that you can like click. And then there's a pearl coming out of this. And if you give it to Rock in King's March, it gives you a rare pearlescent amulet. This is a unique base type. This cannot drop regularly. And the implicit of that amulet gives a plus to all resistance. If you are decently lucky with this, this will carry you like to mid-tier maps, if this has somewhat relevant modifiers. Even if it does not have good modifiers, for the most part, this is still worth slamming Exalts on. Just Exalts. Maybe you have a desecrated bone for jewelry. Then you can use that as well. But yeah, you definitely want to 6-stat this item, because this carries you very, very far. And then important in Nagakanu, basically before the boss fight, there is a guaranteed greater jeweler's orb. So that's the like 5 link, like 4 supports 5 link from the Abyss encounter. And that's very easily missed because the zone is very big, and then if you are lucky and find like the entrance to the next zone, you can like easily skip this, and you should go back and do this. If you're like 10 levels above the zone, I think you don't get the guaranteed rewards anymore. So if you happen to notice you didn't do this and you level too far, sometimes you don't drop a greater jewelers until maps. And with this one, it's just so good. Like this boosts you so much. Now going to the interludes. In the first interlude, depending on which order you do them, you can do them in any order. In Holden, Holden is like this big square zone. At one, you can't go through the middle, you need to go to the sides basically. But at the opposite side of where you start, in the middle, because there's like a lake in the middle, there is like a ferryman. And he sells all of the greater runes, I think at least once, for like a little bit gold. You should buy all of these. They are just really good, especially the resistance ones. In Kari Bazaar, there is the Selkari Sanctuary, like the big zone with the boss at the end, and then at the sides there are like 2 of these pedestals where you can put in like these coins and make a wish. And you can make a wish for 2 things, like 1 on each, for a rare ring, a rare amulet, or a rare jewel. Most of the time you probably want a ring and an amulet. If you have a really good amulet already, or really good rings, which is very unlikely, you can maybe take the jewel, but like rings and amulets are usually the things you want to get. Mount Cryer Peaks. Elder Maddox gives you the choice of a unique. He has like an inventory of, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 uniques. He's a little bit off the path, but if you see these like blue snow owls, you're on the right track. You just need to follow the owls, and you go into like a dead end, and there he's sitting like. Yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, if you just You can like pause the video here, look it up, or like there's like a different sources on the internet as well. But again, like I really only listed the ones that you can actually miss, because like I feel like if I'm doing like the whole list, like there is a lot more rewards during the campaign, but with the ones that you get guaranteed anyway, I feel like this list is like bloating a little bit. So this makes it at least a little bit more comprehensive, like a little bit more focused. Yeah, but that's it for this video. For the time being, thanks for watching everybody, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.